Morning, Dr. Ray. How you doing, my friend?
Boy, doing great. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Welcome to another episode of Ingredients for a Better Life. I'm DNA Chef Jay, joined here by one and only Dr. Ray Nettles, the Chief Medical Scientist and founder of the Stop and Regrow Hair Regrowth Program. Good morning, Doctor, wherever you are in the world.
Great to see you, Jay. I hear that you're over in Australia. Is that right?
Yes, I am in Australia. Checking in on the people here, and it's quite lovely time of year, autumn where I'm at. So experiencing some nice brisk mornings, which I like.
All
Always
right.
good to get out there. And as we know, part of the health style, it's not just a hair regrowth, it's a health vitality lifestyle. And a lot of that deals with the early morning hours of meditation, learning, and getting out there in that brisk weather, getting yourself to feel alive again once you rebalance that biochemistry. But we'll get into that later. Today, Doctor, I'd like to talk about topical solutions. And I know that's a very broad subject because topical could be meaning a lot of different things. But I'll say we'll go for most cases why topical things don't work when it comes to hair regrowth.
That's a very good question, Chef Jay, is why would a topical solution not work to regrow hair? Well, number one, I think you've touched on this on many episodes, which is number one, you first have to find the cause, and there's a riddle. And with our algorithm, it's easily knowable today. Without the numbers plugged into the algorithm, no solution could be made, topical or otherwise. So I think that's the first thing to remember. But do we have benefit on the topical only solution after reviewing someone's internal biochemistry? And the answer is absolutely. To answer your question, could any other topical solution without understanding someone's internal biochemistry rebalance a no, that doesn't make any sense, right? If you don't have the numbers before, there is no way you could create a solution that would move the numbers into the ranges. And quite frankly, Jay, unfortunately, we haven't published research studies and articles. We've been really busy taking care of the patients. But our algorithm does not exist in a textbook. So there is no way to create the algorithm formula. And then number two, our data sets over the last 15 years encompassing the 6 continents on Earth have allowed us to create what's called optimal ranges of up to 9 independent biomolecules circulating inside the bloodstream of each human individual. And this is the biome, and we call the bloodstream the Nile River.
Right.
And what we shoot for in the Nile River is crystal spring water based on these biometrics and biomarkers that will lead us forward. And through the course of time, we follow that blood work and analyze that data, working on, as you mentioned, as you talk a lot about, the diet, which is so very important.
Well,
the diet are the ingredients.
Yeah. Getting back to the bloodstream, and the Nile River, I've heard you talk quite a bit about how the grass analogy system works and how, there's this understanding, if you think of hair like grass and there's a cause and there's like a pest that attacks the hair root system from the inside of the blood, causing them to weaken and make them smaller, thinner hairs over time. Can you tell us more about how that grass analogy works?
Jay, we started using that grass analogy years ago, and it still resonates today. So Stop and Regrow talks about how you have 2 aspects of a problem or a condition to address. And doing that independently will never circumvent the overall cause of the hair loss. Because as you mentioned, the pesticide is stopping the critical imbalanced ratios of hormones inside the bloodstream that are causing the hair follicles to weaken over time. That's addressing one aspect. And we can stop that and address the stopping part of hair loss. But then we have the topical solution that becomes the regrow or the fertilizer. So we've got a pesticide. So the grass can grow with fertilizers, but the pest can still consume the grass. So the pest can be mitigated with a pesticide. So we need two molecules because no one molecule can have dual functions. It would be like having you having a key that opens your home and your office. That'd be nice, just have one key. But we have two separate keys because they're two separate locks. And that's how precision medicine is utilized in medicine today.
That's where it gets complicated because, there's DHT involved from whatever, aspect. Other problems like sugar and estrogen circulating around the body. But there's no way to know, what is happening within the blood until you get that biochemical report card, that blood test, because the hair, when they attach from the bloodstream and cause that miniaturization, is the problem. But it's just until you go, you don't know, and until you get that needle stick and you get the results sent to you, it's all just speculation because it gets it's very myriad. It's coming from every angle. It's not just, oh, my Uncle Joe had hair loss, I have hair loss. That's not it. It's a very complex system of research that you developed over time. And that's what I like to say because it's helped I'm on your program and it's helped me immensely, not only with my trouble crown area and my physical vanity, but it also helps you in a lot of different ways and health wise, your just your brain function and your immunity, the way you require less sleep, the way you can shed fat and gain lean muscle mass, the way that you can look well beyond your years and live way beyond your years. So again, I'm a big advocate of the biochemical report card and getting that blood test, because what people don't realize is they might click on a website and say, oh, this hair loss, this hair regrowth program costs this. It's like, yes, but you're paying for the research. And if you can't afford $7-8 a day, you need to get another job, because guess what? You can't buy lunch for that much money. And if you can't spend that much money on your health, you've got your priorities way out of whack, doctor.
Yeah, you're right, Jay. Health is an investment, and getting the biochemical report card interpreted is worth that part one visit and the part two visit, which also writes the prescriptions for the patients if they want to move forward with the program. But I think just getting the assessment done so that you'll have, for the first time, knowledge of what is the root cause can take away a lot of that superstition that could be circulating inside someone's mind. And that peace of mind is well worth the price of the assessment.
I heard a rumor, doctor, from a good friend of yours who was one of the chief executives that launched Rogaine onto the market years ago. And when they launched it, they had no idea how it worked and assumed it grew hair because it's a vasodilator. Now, but he told me that the learned research was it was only much learned later as the medical technology improved that actually it is a very mild hair regrowth stimulant, and that's why it works. So it's nothing to do with vasodilation. Can you go into that?
Well, Chef Jay, you hit the nail right on the head there. So originally, and I think a lot of people thought of it, minoxidil was used as an antihypertensive, hence the oral formulation for the minoxidil that some people are taking. And their reasoning is, as you mentioned, the vasodilation. And that aspect was what led to the topical thinking that we just need more blood supply to the area. And that's, 30, 40 years ago. And that's without knowledge, right? That's without molecular knowledge. That's without
Yeah.
X-ray crystallography. That's without our 18 years worth of research. And we had a patient that was on today with us, and he's been with us for 13 years. And he was the last hair transplant case that we had done. And hair transplant turned out great, but we had to then revitalize the remaining hair follicles to then have a full head of hair. And now he's 13 years later, still looks great. But to get back to the overall, the overall conversation is the internal chemistry is the most important aspect, and it provides detailed information as far as the nutrition that we need to work on, which takes guidance. And our counseling over the course of the first year should rectify and remedy that issue, which affects probably 60% of the patients that come to start our program.
And the other argument, there's a lot of people, as we talk about topical type treatments, we talk about PRP, where people are, you're taking a centrifuge and injecting it back into the system. But PRP, again, isn't dealing with the problem that caused the root problem, correct?
You're right, Jay. So let me just readdress that first earlier question. So the vasodilation aspect of the minoxidil molecule was the previous ideology or the mechanism of action that was sought it was thought to create that hair regrowth in a little bit of a petri dish type of analysis, but no full heads of hair on actual patients. That never happened. And years later, we found out that vasodilation using laser caps and other methodologies, turning people upside down, those things did not change the overall hair growth. So it was there was an imbalance of the chemistry, the chemical molecules inside the bloodstream. And that only was allowed. We were only allowed to see that with the X-rays, which technology took us a few years later to address that. What was that last question, Jay?
Well, I talked to a lot of people during these free phone consultations and video consultations, and they say, "Hey, why should I do this when I can go on Amazon for less than $100 and I can get this?" This hair topical, and but it contains, as you and I know, cheap ingredients that don't work. And I say to them, look, if it doesn't have a prescription on it and it's not monitored by the FDA, that's not going to do anything. It's not going to cause a change. It's not going to address the first law of thermodynamics. You're wasting your money if you're going and doing anything that doesn't have a prescription on it. So that's another key element I wanted to hit, because people are so quick to just jump on something quick, cheap and easy on Amazon. But those ingredients just don't work.
You're right, Jay. So cheap and easy is not the way you get to optimal health. It's not the way Arnold Schwarzenegger built his body, right? It took he had a methodology. He was very disciplined and regimented, and that's the way it's going to be down here, and that's the way it should be. The optimal health group and members should be the ones that strive a little harder, and they're going to hold themselves more accountable and more responsible for things that they eat, things that they think, and then the types of ingredients that they consume. They're going to put in the research, and if each patient in hair loss put in, I'm going to say 5 hours. 5 real hours into hair loss research, they would find Stop and Regrow to be the only realistic, viable solution that meets the measurement of logic down here.
Yeah.
Now, taking things, PRP and things off the internet and putting them in their scalp, the good thing is you're going to have the evidence in 12 months. Take your photo in 12 months, and then they're going to call you back. Okay.
Well, as we all know, you can't treat anything without first an accurate diagnosis. You wouldn't take your BMW or whatever it is machine wise you love, Lamborghini or whatever, Ferrari, you would not just give it to anybody. You want to take it to an expert and get an accurate diagnosis of what is the problem, and then you address that problem and fix the problem. So same thing goes with people that are having hair issues. Is first of all, you need to know the cause and get an accurate diagnosis straight away. Without that, you're just basically throwing money away. Like your hair loss is it's a cosmetic indication that red flag. Hey, something's wrong inside. Something's wrong. It's a cosmetic indication of an unbalanced biochemistry, right, doctor? So that's a good analogy I like to give people. Is you wouldn't take your Land Rover, to just any old mechanic down the road. You want to make sure you take it to the proper authorized technician. So for hair regrowth, you are that authorized technician, right?
Well, the hair loss and any condition of the human body will start with an imbalance that will be recognizable and known from blood work. That is the present, and that will be the future. It's called precision medicine. It sounds like something foreign and new. We've been practicing this for 2 decades, but this will become and is known as the gold standard in the treatment of human pathology.
And we're talking about pretty much 2 inherited enzymes that are enzyme deficiencies that 80% of all people walking around the earth, I don't care where you are, if you're in Africa, if you're in England, if you're in Connecticut, 80% of all people, not just men, have one of these genetic enzyme deficiencies that may be causing hair loss. 20% of people on Earth, all around on Earth, have 2 of these genetic, enzyme deficiencies. That also affects women. This is not just a male thing that we're talking about. So I just wanted you quickly just to touch on the numbers and how that is a true statement. About 80% of all people on Earth have one of these 2 inherited enzyme deficiencies, or whatever you want to call it, that is causing the problem that needs to be addressed by a prescription in order to make that change or shift in the first law of thermodynamics. Because as we know, you can only make a change. You can't get rid of what was inherited.
You are right, Jay. So as the data has shown us and reveals over time, this inherited deficiency continues to escalate until it will reach 100%. And the reason for that is going back to Adam and Eve, original sin. Will allow us to have a human life and existence, but it will come with some conditions that we would like to resolve.
Yeah.
Early on, I was told I would come here and heal something. Hair loss was something that was told to me we would do. It happened. We have done that.
Thank you, Dr. Ray, for your time. I appreciate you joining me today on Ingredients for a Better Life. For everybody, just go to the website, stopandregrow.com. I urge you to book a free video consultation, get the biochemical report card done, not only to improve your hair health style, but just to improve your life generally, because as we know, precision medicine is the way of the future, and if you're not on it, you're going to get left behind. Thanks to you, and doctor, I'll see you next week on another episode for Ingredients for a Better Life. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jay. Great to see you.
All right, God bless.